So I basically just told her it has taken some time, but I've come to realize that the insecurities that I have and that I'm working through, they all began 19, 20 years ago. And they occurred, or they were manifested as a result of my parents divorcing. And I can say that with a smile on my face right now, but back then, of course not, because I was a child. And
it all began when I was 8 years old. A child, a little girl. I didn't know what life was going to bring, but it brought something that caused my life to be turned upside down, inside out.
If I were to name off my insecurities, y'all already know them all. I'm always writing about them. If y'all actually read my work, you'll know. But the fear of abandonment. That fear was rooted in a divorce. My experience when parents divorce and there are children, or there is a child, for me, I ended up with one parent, and I was raised by that one parent. And let me just say that everybody knows who that parent was. It was my dad. So everybody knows that, right? Like, that's just common knowledge. If you ever know anything about me, that's that's just common knowledge. Okay, whatever. And that's totally fine. I don't care that people know that. And I was raised by my father, and so as a result, and it's not by any doing of his, it's not by anything that he did, but just as a child, you know, I'm putting on my 8-9-year-old child brain. What I saw was, I'm with dad, but where is mom, right? So of course there's always more to the story. There are more details to the story than I care to give, because it's none of your business, right? But I will share a little bit of my business with you so that you understand where I'm going and where I'm coming from, and really what I'm trying to say. From a child, all I saw was that she wasn't there. So I felt abandoned as a result of her not being there. As I said, you don't know the details, you don't know the backstory, you don't know what occurred, and I'm not going to share that. But as a child, it doesn't matter what the details are. It doesn't matter what it was. All the child knows is that I have one parent, where's the other, right? Right. So I realized that as time progressed, as time went on, as I grew up, that I developed this fear of being abandoned. I noticed that throughout time, that some people who I really loved and cared for, and I thought they loved and cared for me, they left, right? So that added on to the fear of being abandoned. So, which left me feeling like I was alone. I even had this conversation with my father. So why is it that everybody I care about leaves? Why am I always left by myself? In every season, you might not have the same people in your corner, because that's life. So as a child, I grew up feeling like nobody wanted me, even though I knew I was loved and cared for. So I'm not saying I wasn't loved. I'm not saying I wasn't cared for. I'm not saying I was not provided for, because God Almighty knows. I could just tell you many a times as a child, the Lord provided for me, and I didn't even know that he was being a provider for my father and I. Whew, that's another story for another time. But this is what I'll say. growing up, I had a fear of people leaving. I had a fear of trusting people, them trusting me, I'm trusting them. And when I open up to somebody, and I pour out myself, or I give myself emotionally, I'm not talking physically, let's just clear the air. So when you open up emotionally and you allow that person to come in and you are vulnerable, when you finally do that and you're just like, oh, this is a safe place, but then they leave or something happens or there's a misunderstanding and that's now done with, and you're like, but I just let down all the walls. I let you in. What do I get in return? Being ghosted. Right. So what I realized was that was happening, not like all the time, but when it happened, it would hit me hard. It knocked the wind out of me. Because when I trust. And when I love deep. And when I am hurt even deeper than my ability to love. So, and knowing that, some people are here for you for life. Other people are not. So I had to learn and understand that you live and you learn. And it's okay. But it all went back to the fear of being abandoned.